And now, without further ado, I would like to call up to the podium the 10th President of the University of Guam, Robert A. Underwood.
Thank you, Kathleen. Buenos dias, hafade todos hamdu, and welcome to the UOG Foundation and UOG-sponsored Guam Economic and Community Development Forum. We're pleased that we have a very large and distinguished turnout of speakers, panel members, and most importantly, participants. We're pleased also that we've been able to encourage so many professors and students, I think they're out there in the back, to participate in this very important meeting. This event would not have been possible without the many sponsors who have been very generous with their support, and their names are listed up here, so please take the time to read their names, because I don't want to feel like I'm remiss in honoring them, because, you know, everything takes a little bit of resources. And without the involvement and support of federal agencies like the Department of Interior, Department of Defense, without the energy of UOG colleagues, especially in the School of Business and Public Administration under the leadership of Dean Anita Enriquez, without the leadership of our Government of Guam agencies and the support of Governor Camacho. And lastly, we wouldn't be here if it weren't the support for the UOG Endowment Foundation Board, and particularly the efforts of former Governor Ada, who has been a key leader from the inception of this forum idea to its implementation today. Thank you all. But most of all, we are pleased to be able to focus our attention on the great challenges for Guam in the 21st century. Every society must deal with the challenges and opportunities they face and try to do so from a position of strength. The first great challenge in this century for Guam, and certainly for the next decade, is the upcoming buildup. Some call it the Guam buildup. Some call it the military buildup. Some say those words with optimism and anticipation, while others say those words with trepidation and concern. And whatever your perspective, the buildup is coming. And we must engage it and shape it and bend it and lead it in directions that make sense for us, that provide us with, quote, strategies for a sustainable future, which is the subtitle of this forum. But before we develop strategies, we have to ask some basic questions, and we have to get some fact-based answers. What do these changes mean for the people of Guam? What does it mean for the way we live, where we live, how we live, for the way we educate, for the way we protect our land and our resources, for the way we provide health care, for the way we sustain our economy? These are not idle questions, and we cannot just share opinions. We must find answers that are based on evidence as well as emotion, on realistic models as well as creative visions, on likely scenarios as well as perfect outcomes. All of these concerns lead us to this forum, this set of panels, these distinguished speakers, the political leadership of our island, the economic movers in our midst, some individuals in uniform and voices, strong voices, we hope, from planners in the government of Guam to a concerned citizenry. The underlying purpose of this forum is to foster dialogue. We want to bring dialogue, but we want that dialogue to be based on many voices and based on evidence that we can bring together. We want others to share their experiences and perspectives, whether they're from El Paso, Texas, or Eloy, Arizona, or from the Philippines. We want key officials to tell us why we are at this point in our lives dealing with these challenges, whether these officials come from the Department of Defense or our own elected Guam leaders. We want our local experts, and they are here today over the course of the next 2 days, 60 panelists who will speak to housing and culture and environment and the infrastructure. And we don't want them to just take turns speaking. We want them to engage in conversation and respond to questions that require meaningful answers and present real problems. But there must be something on the other side of the dialogue. And dialogue is worth the price of admission itself, but the results will make this effort truly meaningful. Over the course of the forum and the activities that will follow, we expect to develop answers and thoughtful responses which will provide concrete plans and ideas that will help our community chart its course over the next few months and years. We at the university are primarily academics. Sometimes, you know, it's when you're an academic, when people say, oh, it's all academic, as if it were nothing real, it always kind of hurts a little bit. But, you know, academic means that you're thinking something very deeply. Oh, it's academic. Well, what does that mean? Well, this is academic. And so we have introduced the idea of preparing white papers. There's no magic word intended in the use of the term white paper. It could be brown paper, or even a series of conceptual papers. But we want to develop white papers that will suggest laws and policies and regulations, and even legislation that will deal with the issues that have been identified. We fully expect that these papers will offer integrated solutions. All of the panelists and panels must end up somewhere in the same area, so that integrated and coherent and coordinated all become words to live by. Concerns about the survival of the Chamorro culture, continuing the ambience of island living as we know it today, affordable housing, economic opportunities, coral reef protection, public safety are not separate and distinct concerns. Individuals who are primarily concerned about one and not the other really do miss the mark about how to develop a sustainable future, and we can no longer afford to miss the mark. This is what makes this forum different from the others. We are more than just an economic forum that outlines the opportunities. We are more than just a forum which outlines all of the liabilities and negative impacts of the buildup. We are more than just a collection of experts in isolated fields. We are working towards an integrated approach to dealing with change, managing change, and ultimately leading change. We have shaped this forum to be of maximum value to our island community. Some have asked why the University of Guam has taken this responsibility on. And I say, why not? The University of Guam has a broad-based responsibility as a land-grant institution, as the primary developer of our local professional workforce, as the leading research education institution in the region to take on the major challenges of our time. The upcoming buildup will require us to prepare for a new economy with thousands of new professional positions like accountants and nurses and engineers and teachers and environmental specialists. In addition to developing our human resources, the new economy will require in-depth research and concrete strategies regarding our natural resources, the land, underneath the land in the form of water resources, and of course the ocean. Your university is the right place to help navigate these waters ahead. Your university has a responsibility to develop the intellectual infrastructure for Guam so that we can respond to hard questions and facilitate policy making. As we worry about our utility infrastructure, our social infrastructure, we must also build simultaneously our intellectual capacity. Over the course of the next 2 days, we will not finish the work that we begin this morning, but we will have initiated a course of inquiry, dialogue, and problem solving, which will help us develop a sustainable future for ourselves, our children, and their children. Thank you, Situs Masi.